Hello, hello, hello. It says I'm live. So can I check with anyone here to see if they can hear me, please? Hit the like button, friends. Vassie's here in the room. Mark is here. Jester, thanks for coming. We'll give it a few more minutes. Hello. Oh, yeah, nice. So it's fine. Second ever live stream. So you're going to hear my brummy voice once again. I'm going to try and do one of these at least once a week, around about this time. It just stretches it out. I'm not aiming to be an actual YouTuber. I'm just trying to get my ideas out there. So if it gets heard by the right person, then they can take it on board. Mark is excited. Don't swap places. I'm a bit nervous, even still. Oh man. Give me a few minutes, and I'll pop me ugly mug on. Sounds good to me. Right. So the main thing today is I'm going to go over a concept I've had for, it's got to be close to 2 decades now. And I've loved the fact that these two characters would fit into each other's world perfectly. You got Riddick from his franchise and the Predator from their franchise. Now, we know how the Predator and the aliens would get along. not very well. But how would Riddick and Predator get on in their world if they were connected? I know there's people that go on about, oh, well, what about the aliens? I'm like, well, you know, let's start with the Predator first. Let's get that out of the way, and I'll try and come up with one with Riddick and the aliens, but it'd be kind of like what it was in Pitch Black, where he fought them bioraptors, even though, you know, the aliens would rip them bioraptors apart, but it shows the strength of Riddick, that he could actually take one of these beasts on. Just hope he doesn't get any acid for blood on him. But I'm going to get into this concept here, Riddick and the Predator. So I've got a few points. I'm going to try and not make this 2 hours like the last one. The time just flew by last time. So I'm going to try and get through this as quick as possible. Then whoever has any questions, they can just ask them. So I'm going to get into this. So if I pop my ugly mug on, 3, 2, 1. Hello. Hello, everybody. Hi, everybody. Oh, I love Pitch Black. Yeah. When it first came out, I had it on. It was like on VHS, but it was a copy. It was a copied VHS, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" And as I got into it, I was like, "Oh, I'm loving this. It's really good." So, how's everyone doing? Hi, Dave. Hi, Vassie. Hi, Jester. Hi, Mark. I've got a bit of a tickly nose, so I'm going to start sneezing a bit. I can feel one coming. Hang on. Whoa! Bless me, as they say. So, okay. Right, I'm going to get into it because I don't want this to last 2 hours like last time. But I'm going to get into it. So, how do I do this now? I'm going to share this. I'm going to share this image. Hang on. So, here's my main edit. I like this one. This was actually my 4th edit. It's like a remake of one I did many years ago. And I thought I'll go with the still blue look. And I stuck with the same image of Riddick kneeling, but I changed the Predator in the background. Now, the Predator in the background is actually a mix of different images of the figures. So what I had to do with the image was edit away the joints to try and make it look like it was all one. and place it behind Riddick, which kind of shows that are they working together, which is another concept I'm going to get into. But people are saying, oh, why is the Predator so small? It's like the Predator's like about 7 feet behind him. That it's a bit of a perspective thing. You know, they're both looking at something, but I like this. I've actually got this behind me, as you can see right here. I got it printed. So I thought it was an excellent edit of mine. So I hope everyone likes that. John, you pleb. Oh, hello, John. John's in. All right, I'm going to start drinking my. I've got a selfless plug here. It's called Drink Me Chai latte. So the girlfriend got me on this. So thank you very much. She's got me hooked on it. So there's that image. So now I'm going to get into a recent thing I've just done. It's a logo. So I'm going to get into the logo. So how do I move this along? Where's the image? Let's have a look. So if I move this along, there we go. So how's everyone liking that? RXP. So we've got RXP. Move that out of the way so I can see what everyone's talking about. RXP, so it's Riddick X Predator. So I'm going to get into why instead of like versus or a V, I thought the X would be better. You just RXP instead of RVP. I thought X was better because my concept is more of a crossover than just a straight up versus. It's not just there's Riddick, there's Predator, they're gonna fight. Who's gonna win? I thought I'd go with something different, so I went with the X as in a cross. And as you can see with the image, it looks like the R is connected to one half of the X, and the P is connected to the other half. So the idea for this was to do merchandise. So say you've got a chain, and you can have a chain, and in the middle is like a magnet you could just stick over and then connect it. So it's the RXP connected. And then come with an idea with T-shirts. So you've got the normal RXP across the chest, but then if you've got just Riddick fans, they can have the one half, and the other side can have the Predator half. So let's get into that. I had to quickly knock these up the other day. So there you go. Just an idea. So there you go. RXP, then the R with half the X, and then the P with half the X. So I'm just keeping myself busy. Lassie says she'll be in and out of the stream. Got a lot of typing to do this evening. Oh, yeah, I heard you did a bit of a mess up. Hope you get it sorted. So I think my next images are I'm going to get into. Right, I think I've done the reason for the X is I like the thought of a crossover than just a straight up versus. You can't just have them just turn up out of nowhere. There's got to be some sort of story behind it. You've got to make it interesting for everyone else to watch. So I thought if I do an X and explain the X, then instead of it having that bad taste of the last Alien versus Predator movie, the Requiem, it left a bad taste in people's mouths. So I thought I want to stay away from that as much as I could. So I went with the X. So I'm going to get into the setting. Right, okay. The setting of the concept would be obviously it's going to be far, far, far future because obviously you've got to catch up with Riddick's future. It's in a different part of the galaxy again. They connecting with the Predators. There could be any timeline. In the future, in the past, could be anywhere. So I thought, obviously, keep up with Riddick because he still ages like a human. So even though he's not, he still ages like one. So you got to try and keep within his timeline. And And the concept with him is he's always going to be chased by mercenaries, always. He even says it, he's always going to be chased by mercs. They're always going to want him. But with the last film that come out, they put the bounty double if dead, which was new to him. So now literally everybody's after him, dead or alive. And this puts Riddick on edge. So now he's being chased, not just by mercenaries, but he's being chased by it's more like a military unit, but they work like a mercenary unit. But they're just massive. They're their own army. So throughout this movie idea, he's being chased by them. He always escapes, but he's always got little pockets of other mercenaries that he comes across. So he's always fighting them off. But it's like in the distance, when he takes his goggles off, he can always see in the dark, the faintest of light. And in the distance, he can see this light figure. It's like a bright light, almost like a figure made of light that's just looking at him in the distance, just waiting on him. And he's now thinking, bringing the religious thing into it. If you've ever watched the other Riddick movies, religion is in there, and he doesn't want to believe it. He does believe it, but he detests it. He doesn't want to be involved in it. But he sees this figure now that he's being caught. He's always getting cornered. He feels like his time is coming, and he thinks this figure is an angel waiting to take him. So this angel's waiting to take him, but he doesn't. He says that not today. He wants to defy it. He wants to defy it, so he'll keep fighting on. Not today. You will not take me today. Just like you'll never let any mercenary take him, dead or alive. He doesn't want that. So he's fighting off these mercenaries left and right, at different times throughout the years, and he's always being followed by this figure of light in the distance. And I think you know who this figure of light is. So it's the Predator, if you didn't already guess. Everyone, when I was on the stream with Mr. H, he didn't like the fact that the Predator would be following Riddick. Why would he follow him? He could just blast him. It's like, don't you think the Predator, after seeing Riddick fighting off all these mercenaries, he would see him as the ultimate prey? He would see him as the ultimate prey. He wouldn't want to just blast him from a distance. He wouldn't want that. It's too easy. And he would the Predator would see it in himself a bit dishonourable. But the reason why he kept his distance, now I'm going to get into it now. So if he's watching, or if he ever watches, I'm going to get into some detail now that I couldn't on his stream, because I only have 15 or so minutes. So I'm going to get into it now. The Predator would see him as the ultimate prey after watching how Riddick takes care of all these mercenaries in different times, different periods. And each time, Riddick does it in a different way. It's never the same way. And the Predator can't cop on. It's like he's trying to find patterns, and he can't find a pattern with Riddick. So if he wants to fight Riddick one-on-one, he don't feel like he's prepared enough, because a bit like the Predator, who always adapts, Riddick always adapts. And he's always dispersing these mercenaries in different ways. And the Predator can't suss Riddick. He can't seem to grasp what he does that's the same. It's always different. There's something different. So he's just following him to try and get as much information from him as possible. Keep a distance and just survey him from afar, and try and suss him. See if he can get him. So, right, he's got a weakness here. Try and find Riddick's weaknesses. So when it comes to a one-on-one battle, he's prepared. Now, even Predator realizes that he's being chased by this army of mercenaries. But the Predator isn't going to get involved with Riddick's business. So he's just going to wait it out. So when Riddick comes one-on-one with this army early on, he has to escape, but he's kind of cornered. And the Predator kind of wants to come in. It's like he feels like they're going to take this opportunity away from me. So he waits and just sees, and he's in cloak, and really can't see him at this moment. He's got his goggles on. So when he sees Riddick fighting off these mercenaries, he's happy to stand back and just wait. So he's trying to clock him. And Riddick kind of sees something move in cloak. And that's when he takes these goggles off. And he sees this angel of light. And this pisses Riddick off, because he's fighting off these mercenaries at the same time. And Riddick's like, you're not going to get me today. Not today. So, of course, Riddick is going to get angry. And he's battling off these mercenaries. And, in Riddick fashion, he does it, gets away. Kind of gets away in his ship. Now, this ship is obviously... the story is he's accumulated so many credits, their currency, whatever, and he's got a ship that has, like, a warp function. It's like a warp function. This is why he's been able to evade these mercenaries for long, the army. So he has to get to his ship and escape. So he finally escapes, gets in his ship, and we see the Predator follow. So he's following him in his ship, but the ship's cloaked as well. The mercenary ship is actually following Riddick, and they're quite close. So Riddick's trying to power up his warp, and he's thinking, as he narrates, the way he narrates in films, he's saying to himself, they're not going to get me, dead or alive. And he goes on and talks about an event that's happening that the system is there to witness. It's like a big universal event, and it's a supernova that's going to happen. So there's a dying sun, and the supernova is going to happen. It's going to be this big event, like the whole universe is ready to watch it. They're there, ready to on screens. It's it's going to happen soon. So they're waiting, and Riddick feels like, if I'm gonna lose, if I'm gonna die, they're not gonna get me, dead or alive. They're not gonna get my body. So he decides he's gonna make a last stand. So he plots the course to a planet that's near this dying star, this dying sun. So before he can warp, the mercenary ship actually fires at Riddick's ship and damages it as it goes into warp. So it goes into warp, and the way the Predator follows him is that on the ship, I've got the idea of a stream of the warp, where if you're within the stream, it will drag you along. So of course the Predator ship is quite close, it's always tailing him. So it goes into the stream and follows him. But luckily the mercenary ship is quite far behind, so it's now trying to track where it's gone. So it's lost him for a while. So now that it's heading towards this planet, it's heading towards the planet, and it's breaking up. The ship's breaking up, so it kind of like makes really saying to himself, "This is my last stand. If I'm here now, I will die here, be it by the mercenaries, but the mercenaries won't have time to get away because the supernova. He's hoping the supernova happens quick enough. So he's got in his mind that this is it. This is where he makes his last stand. So he crashes on the planet. There's nothing left of his ship. It's all wreckage. He feels like this is it. He can't go nowhere else. So we don't see the Predator ship. It's in cloak. He's crashed. He's kind of like, he's really dazed. He can't see anything. So even if he's face down, so even if the ship flew over him, in cloak, he won't be able to notice it because it's engulfed in light. The predator surrounds itself in light, so you'd see this thing, but it's just been in a crash. So we don't see where the predator lands, but we see Riddick get up later on, and he's just waiting. He's walking the desert. The narration is this is his last stand. He's had a good run, and in the distance he sees this light again, this figure. So he sees this figure, and it's like, soon you will have me, soon, but it'll be on my terms. So I will let myself go as the nova comes, as the supernova happens, then you'll have me. But in the meantime, it's not on your time. So he sees this figure walking towards him, and he's perplexed. He's like, what's going on? So now that's happening. Now I'm going to go from the predator's point of view. This is from the predator's point of view. The predator realizes that there's a supernova happening. They're not dumb. They're not stupid. They know it's going to happen as well. So now the predator realizes that this is Riddick's last moments, and he's not going to let it go to waste. So now he's going to reveal himself. He's going to test himself. Even if the supernova comes and takes him, he will have the honor of taking on the ultimate prey, taking on Riddick. So he reveals himself, uncloaks himself, and Riddick is taken back saying, you're no angel. You're a demon. So it's a throwback to Predator 2. You're a demon. And then you see, just like in Predator, you see the Predator start dislodging its weapons. And then it starts taking off the mask last. And then Riddick is like, so you want to test yourself? Is this why you're here? You want to test yourself before the end? So it gets to it. They start battling. As it is like a standoff, they start circling. So they start battling. And it seems pretty even at the start, because I'm going to pause it right here. I'm going to get into some detail of these pair now. Now, you could say that the planet is kind of getting darker and lighter, because as you can see on my picture, in the background, it's like a steel blue. So Riddick's sight he can see without his goggles because it's not so bright. So the steel blue look, he can see. So he can take off his goggles. So if I get into the vision of these pair, we all know that the Predator can see heat. So Riddick trying to hide in shadows is not going to work because the heat is still being shown. So if I pull up this image, you can see Riddick is in a shadow, but with the Predator vision, with his main vision without the mask, if you're looking at the first Predator film, when he takes it off, it's like a red, yellow, orange. This is what he'd see. He'd still see Riddick plain as day. He would see him. So Riddick would find out soon enough that shadows are not working. So then Riddick would have to find another way. He'd have to. So he'd have to use his speed and strength, which would come a cropper later on. And if we flip this, the Predator, he's perplexed at the start where he's trying to hide cloaked from a distance, but Riddick still sees him. And the Predator's like, how come he can see me? And this is why. If you can see that clear enough. So the top image is like Predator cloak. You can still kind of see the outline. You can still kind of see it here. But if Riddick took off his goggles, he would show up like he would in the bottom image as a figure of light. So the Predator cloak is useless against Riddick. Riddick would see Predator, no problem. So now the Predator's thinking about, well, my tech is now useless. I can't use my cloak, so that's out of commission. He'd always seen. So that would have to be in there somewhere. I don't think I've got any more. No, I've got no more. So that would how they would see each other. So this is why I like this concept of them pair being together, because their vision would cancel each other out. It doesn't matter how many visions the Predator has. He's got loads, doesn't he? He could go infrared, he can go light. Doesn't matter. Riddick can't hide either way. Just like the Predator can't hide either way. Neither can hide. So they'd have to both rely on their abilities, their natural physical abilities. Now, we all know Predator's really strong. I'm not a comic reader, so all I know is what people have told me, and that's some of the images I've seen where Predator can actually punch a tank off the floor. He can lift the tank off the floor just by punching it. So the other thing me and Mr. H spoke about was, I think Riddick would be able to take a beating from the Predator. And Mr. H was like, no, I don't see it. But then he totally disregards the fact that in the first Predator film, when Dutch hits the Predator with a massive stick and he breaks it, and then the Predator gives him an almighty back fist that throws Dutch, about 10 meters away. Dutch is only human, and he survived that, so he could take an almighty hit if Riddick wanted to. And I think Riddick would take that hit a bit more better. He'd lift him off the floor, and he'd take it, and he'd feel it. But compared to Dutch, nah. Riddick is stronger than any human on this earth. Stronger and faster. So he's a bit more of a match than people would like to give. They need to look at the old Predator films and think, okay, you've got a point. There's a moment in the Chronicles of Riddick, which shows Riddick's strength as well. He gets lowered into crematoria, and as soon as he detaches from his chain hanging off the rope, as he hits the floor, you see this guy run full pelt towards him and jump like he's going to try and hit him with something. Riddick is looking away, and he holds out a hand. Can you see? He holds out a hand and catches the guy round the throat, and Riddick doesn't even jolt, doesn't even move, just grabs him out of thin air. So that would also prove how strong Riddick is in terms of core, but his base, his strength. Catching a full-grown human out of midair and not even jolt. So you've got to look at these things as well. I mean, I'm only going by films, so if people want to go by comics, that's up to you. But I'm going by the films. And if you see the Predator give Dutch a massive backhand and Dutch surviving that, then you're going to have to go by that as well. So everyone's seen these images now. So if I get rid of this and come back, here we go. I've missed everything what everyone says because I've had the image block off all the chat. So let's have a look at the chat. I'm feeling the right image for the poster. Thanks. The chemistry between Riddick and the Yautja would be interesting. Yeah, it really is. It does interest me more than any other verses. This is the one I want. I want this. I want it so bad. What software do I use for that? Oh, it's an old program. It's over 15 years old now. It's Paint Shop Pro 8. Very old. Where was I? So we've gone through the strengths, and when it comes to speed, I've not seen anything in the films. Someone can correct me if they're in the comics, but when it comes to speed, Riddick has the speed over Predator. Even though I still think the Predator has the strength over Riddick overall, I think Riddick has a building strength. He can he can multiply his strength in a short space of time. So even if you think he's been overtaken, his strength will start multiplying and then he'll just overcome. It just depends what that limit is. But so their vision is out of the water. There's no vision. They can't use it. Both can't be blinded because the light surrounding the planet is a steel blue. So I've gone with that colour choice. So they're on an even playing field when it comes to vision. So it's about strength and speed, as well as can either of them use their environment. And we all know Riddick can use anything to his advantage. He uses a teacup. He kills a person with a teacup. So he can use anything around him. While the Predator, I mean, the Predator is a weapon. He's got his own claws and he has his wrist blades. Now, he could probably use his disc blade as well, if he wanted. If you wanted to use that. But then Riddick has his, I keep forgetting what they're called. They're them blades that come up and then round and over. He could use them. He could even use his normal sharp dagger. So he's good with them. That's all he's ever needed, really. So you got these pair battling off. And I'm trying to get them to use their skills. So you got the Predator's trying to get the one strike in. He's trying to literally get him with the one strike. And Riddick is dodging and weaving. None of them want to get hit by each other. So they're clutching, they're grabbing each other's arms, they're using their strength. You could do a face-to-face where the one comes down, grabs that wrist, and then he tries to attack that. So they've got each other, and they're face-to-face. They're growling at each other. So there's a face-to-face there. They're both face-to-face. You could have the Predator with his mandibles coming out there. And then you could have the class line of Riddick going, "You're one ugly motherfucker." But you could do you could have a funny part where as before he even finishes the sentence, you could have the Predator just nut Riddick. That'd be funny. Well, funny finishing before he could finish the sentence, but it's a powerful impact. So they're getting down to it, and they're starting to wear each other down now. It's become one of them battles where they're both wearing out. They're wearing each other out. They're just trying to slash at each other, and Riddick could use his cunning to find a trap where, say, there's a hole or a ditch, and he lures the Predator to him. So when the Predator trips or stumbles, it's Riddick's time to get a slash in. So he gets a slash in, and I know you Predator fans are going to hate it, but Riddick, he's not stupid either. So he gets a slash in. The Predator's like, he's feeling it, but he tries to strike. So the Predator's down on one knee, Riddick's standing over him. They're both absolutely knackered. And you can almost see Riddick not wanting to do it. He sees him as, he's like, he feels an honor in himself. He feels it. So he feels like he has to end it. It's like there's no point because his life's going to end on that planet anyway. So as he goes to strike, but then we would see the Predator also get ready to strike himself. Riddick's going to go strike down, and the Predator would have his blades ready to come up. So they'd probably end up killing each other. This is the moment I'm trying to get. They're going to go and strike each other. And then who decides to come and crash the party? The mercenary army decide to just crash the party. They're there. They found Riddick. So, of course, the beaming light comes down. They're both blinded. The light. So now, Riddick now has to try and find a way to escape. As he's trying to escape, the Predator's kind of still hurt, so he's trying to find his footing, and he's kind of lagging behind. As Riddick escapes, and the mercenary army are firing nets, they don't capture Riddick, they actually capture the Predator. They capture the Yautja. Riddick from a distance is actually looking over a hill. So he's looking over a hill and he sees the Predator captured. For a moment, he's like, phew. But he realizes, hang on, how did this being follow him? And then he realizes, oh, he must have a ship too. And if he's got a ship, where the hell is it? You can't see it. So then he feels that I'm cutting out quite a lot of detail of how they, how they bring the Predator in. They've captured the Predator. They probably stun it with electro rods. So they've stunned it, they've knocked him out, and they bring it on board. So Riddick is thinking, hang on, if the Predator's got a ship, I have a chance of getting off this planet and surviving. So he's thinking, I've got to try now and find this ship, but the only way I can find this ship is with this creature's help. Now, the only way I can get this creature's help is if I help him escape. So now Riddick has to now take the fight to the mercenaries. He now has to try and help this Yautja escape in the hope that this creature would see Riddick as him helping him, and the old classic term of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So I'm taking another page out of AVP. If this is the Predator's motto as well, then you could use that. You could use that in this story. So you would have now Riddick trying to find his way of getting into this fortress of a ship to try and find where the Predator's being held. Now, as Predator does eventually find his way in after taking out a few guards, as he does with his speed and stealth. And at this point, Riddick has a healing factor, so he's now healing. So he's got his energy back. He's now using his cunning and his ways to take out some of these mercenaries to get inside the fortress, this ship. So he's getting in there and he's finding his way through the air ducts and everything else, through the darkness, using his darkness. And he finds the Predator chained up, stripped of all of its goodies, and it's been tortured, punched, kicked, and whatever by these evil mercenaries. You've got to make him evil because of what's going to come up next. And there's quite a few as well. So whatever's going to happen next is going to be a lot. So Riddick finds a way of shutting down the power to the ship. And in this moment, we see darkness and we hear a couple of, breaking metal and things like that. And we hear Riddick say, I bet you're pleased to see me. So he helps break out the Yautja from his chains. And we see them face. Riddick is standing next to him, and Predator goes up to him face to face, and Predator's like, he's got that look of looking at him down, and I going, as if, how dare you help me? How dare you? So he feels like now he's obligated. He's obligated to stand with him. And Riddick is there face to face and goes, fancy going out of here or what? So he's using these sarcasm, and he gives him his gauntlet. And as the Predator would go, he'd take off and go, Rah! And then turn away as he's getting, and you see Riddick rubbing his hands, going, right, I'm ready to play my favourite game. Are you ready? And we see this moment, Predator's putting on all of his stuff. And as he connects his helmet, turns to Predator, and he shrugs and goes, his things shoot out, which basically signals that he's ready. So all the alarms are going off. They realise that the Predator's gone loose, and they're going to start fighting their way out now. They've got to start fighting their way out. So this is where I would make this a proper like 18 rating, hard R. So they're now going to showcase their skills on these evil mercenaries. So you do not care for these at all. They're going to start using their skills, and it's going to be different moments where they're going to start using the environment, the shadows, as well as heat signature, and you can see that the way I've done this, it's gory. It's going to be gory. They're going to start slashing heads off. They're going to start slicing people, tearing people's faces off. It's going to be as gruesome as you can get it. I want these pairs to showcase, but what they're doing is, in certain moments where they split off, but then they come back, in hallways and everything else. They almost feel they're in competition with each other, and you see Riddick would grab the one, snap his neck, and then throw him up in the air, and then hit him or slash him before he hits the ground, and then look to the Predator. He'd look to the Yautja. The Predator would look at him and go, ugh. And then he would do the same to someone else, but even worse. And then the Predator would look back, and then he'd be like, as if to go, huh? How's it like that? And the Predator and Riddick would go, show off. So they would showcase each other, and they'd kind of be on the same page of, no, they're trying to show off to each other. So to kill off. But this is why I kind of like the concept of a crossover instead of a straight up versus. So they managed to get off the ship, and they would battle against the remaining two. The remaining two would have these. They'd have these suits, and they would battle the remaining two of the commanders of these mercenaries, the mercenary ship, and again they would showcase their skills. They'd help each other out. They'd literally be throwing each other to try and attack. They'd be working quite well because the Predator's been following him for years, so he kind of knows what Riddick is going to do next. And Riddick is quick enough to know what the Predator's going to do. He would see the Predator go and do something, and he would react. He's good at reacting. So they would help each other fight off these last two. And when they do, they wouldn't kill them. Riddick would stop them pair from getting killed and go, right, this is the place where you're going to die, and you're going to enjoy every moment of it. Basically, he's going to leave them there. He's going to leave them there for the supernova, because the ship is dead. There's no power. He's cut the power completely. So this would end, and the Predator would turn towards Riddick, and Riddick would turn towards the Predator, and they would look at each other. They're all covered in blood. They're just covered in it, and Riddick would say to the Predator, goes, what do you say about getting off this place? And Riddick would look up, and there'd be a massive, massive light, and it would be the mothership, the Yautja mothership. And he'd look and be like, oh my gosh, he'd see, and we would see this is just ship of white. It's like a bright light. And the Predator would take off his mask again, and he'd look at him and do like a nod, and then just turn and walk away. And this would piss off Riddick. Be like, see, after what I've just done, you're just going to leave me here? You're just going to leave, the way Riddick would react. It's all pissed off. Because you're just going to leave me here? And the Predator would turn around as he's walking onto this mothership. And really pissed off. His mouth is twitching because he's fuming. He felt like, I've just done this for you, and now you're just going to leave me here. So, of course, the Predator would have this little device and he'd look at it, and he'd give a snout to Riddick, and then throw it at him. He'd literally throw it at him, and he'd hit Riddick and drop the floor and goes, "Is that the thanks I'm going to get?" So, of course, Predator goes on the ship, and the ship would just fly off, and he's like, Riddick would just shout, "Ah!" And he doesn't know what to do. He's like, my chance has gone. Am I really going to die here? But then he'd look down, and this thing that the Predator's that chucked at him, it's flashing. It's flashing like a symbol. So he picks it up, and he sticks his thumb on it, and you would hear a rumble. It'd be like a rumble, and the sand around him would start to shake. And Riddick's looking, I go, "What the hell's this?" And then he'd look, and from the sand would be the Predator ship that he followed him on, that he's been following for years in. So Riddick would have like a little smirk and goes, "Oh, you cheeky mother effer." So he'd look at it, and it would open up for him, and he'd be like, "How does this open?" And when he'd say open, this device is kind of like a translator. So whatever Riddick says, it would translate it to the Yautja language. And he says, "Open." He'd be like, "How does this thing open?" And he'd translate, and then the ship would open, and he'd look, he'd be like, "Okay." And at this moment, the light is starting to fade on this dying star, so it's very close. So he decides to get on the ship. So Riddick would get on this ship, and he'd get to the front, and he wouldn't even know how to start it. And he'd look at the device and go, "Ship start," or "start," or "fly." And of course, it would translate everything, and everything would start lighting up, and it closes up, and then it starts to lift. It's starting to glide off, and he would say, "Go away from the dying star, away." So the ship would start to fly away. You would think that he's getting away. He's trying to go away. So as it starts to fly off, he realizes that it's not going to be quick enough to get away from the supernova. And now the supernova is just about to blow. It's just about to blow, and he's like, "Oh," because it shows on screen. It's, you know, where the Predator's got the hologram. It's got the hologram, and it's going down in you know, like when he with the with the self-destruct thing, with the nuclear thing on his wrist. So it's going down like that, and he puts it towards the supernova. It's showing the planet, and it's showing these numbers going down, and he's like, "I'm not going to be able to escape." So as it flies off, he tries to shoot off as quick as he could, and he realizes it's not going to escape. So, cutting back to the planet where the two mercenary guys are on there, they don't know what to do. They can't start the ship for shit. They can't get away. They know they're going to die, and they look at the star, and it just goes, and it explodes. It just shoots off. So now it's a race to see if Riddick can get away from the supernova. So it's on the ship again. It's on the ship, and it's trying to get away, and it can't. Now this is where I take a page out of the movie The Predator, because there were some bits in that film that I liked. I liked what I call a space rip. They shoot out the device, and it opens up a rip in the universe that they can travel through. Now, I'm going to use that. So, Riddick doesn't know what to do. And he just says to the device, "Get me out of here!" And of course, you hear it's like a build-up, it's like a charge. And this supernova is getting closer. Everything's starting to rattle. So, it goes up, and it's got a massive button in front of Riddick, and it's flashing, it's going, and he's like, he doesn't know what to do. So it's like, he just hits it, and it fires this thing, and in front it shoots. It opens up the rip. So the rip's open in front of him. And he looks, and he's looking. He's like, what the hell's this? And then he goes through as the supernova is just about to just rip him apart. As he goes through, the rip shuts. It shuts. And he survives. And he realizes, oh my God. He goes, I've now got something better than a warp speed. But then, as it cuts to the end, because this is near the end, he realizes that he doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know where he is. He's just happy that he's now escaped, and it's not his final days, and he's met a worthy opponent, and he realizes this can't be the last time I see this being, because I have his ship, and it's only a matter of time before he comes to collect it. So that's how I leave it, as the ship goes off into nothing. So then you realize then that after what he's just said about, the Predator's going to want to come for his tech. The Predator doesn't like giving away their tech, but because he's been following Riddick for years, he sees him as a proper worthy opponent, and after helping him, he feels obligated to help him. So he's helped him escape, but he's not going to leave him for long. They can track the ship. It's just a matter of how long is he going to let him go before he collects his ship back. So that's how I'm going to leave that open for potential sequels or potential other crossovers where you see Riddick, the Predator, and the aliens. Could they all be in one universe? So how does everyone think about that as a crossover concept between them pair? Would that be satisfying enough to watch on screen? And is the ending good enough to show that Riddick escaped and leaving it open for the Predator to hunt him down again to collect his tech? I'm going to look at some of these because I've just been talking and I've not been reading any of these. I'm sorry. Mark, you've got 2 hours. I don't know when that was done. Okay, you only said that not long ago. About 40 minutes ago. I'm sorry I haven't been responding to anybody, but I'm open to questions at the end. For the last half an hour, I'm open to any sort of questions. If I don't know them, I'll just say the best I can. But this concept I've had for nearly 20 years. It's got to be almost 20 years, because when I first saw Pitch Black and I saw Riddick for the first time and what he was capable of, being a Predator fan back then, I was thinking, I want them to face off. I really want Riddick to face the Predator. I thought Riddick would get tuned, but you're starting to change my mind. It's why I like the thought of them squaring off, because they're more matched than would people like to give credit for. Jester says bloodbath coming. It would be a bloodbath because there's loads of them, and they literally get through all of them. Them paired together literally gets through all of them, apart from the last two at the end. The last two mercenaries will be left on the planet. That makes sense. He threw down with Arnold when he could have just blasted him. Exactly. He saw Dutch. He saw Dutch as the last remaining worthy opponent. He saw Dutch with no weapons. So he thought, okay, I'll face him. Which is why I thought it'd be a good concept to have this Predator see Riddick and be so intrigued that he's not worth just putting down with a blaster from a distance. He's not worth that. He sees him as the ultimate prey. Did the films go into who wiped out the Furians? Yeah, they said it was the Necros. Yeah, it was the Necros. They put it down to that in the Chronicles of Riddick. Yeah, that sounds good. I like the concept. Yep. Cutting through the white paper. It literally would be. You'd see the Predator using his strength, just pinning people to walls. Riddick would be using his speed and stealth to dodge fire attacks. These mercenaries wouldn't have come into contact with the Ultra race, so they wouldn't even know how to deal with it. They don't even know the tech. I had a brainwave for a minute. So there you go. You got the there's the concept. That's how I see the movie playing out. It'd be more to do with Riddick narrating instead of shouting out. He'd be narrating, saying to himself, "Is this the angel coming for my soul?" Because he caught in the other Riddick films, he wasn't really religious. But his friend was the holy man in the Chronicles of Riddick, and I tried to connect that with this. Is this my end? That you got this angel coming to get him. So I thought I'd use that, but it's not. It's the Predator in cloak, and Riddick just being so defiant, he's not going to let this angel take his soul. Electro rods. I don't know how far back you are, Mark. Electro rods. You know about the when I says when they captured the Predator. The Predator was kind of already injured. Riddick got that hit. He got that hit using his speed and his cunning to lure the Predator into a ditch or like a trap where the Predator's leg got trapped for a moment, giving Riddick that moment. But to have them both almost kill each other at the same time, you got Riddick ready to come down to hit the Predator as the Predator was just about to go up. And then that could have been it. They could have killed each other in that moment. That could have been it. Because Riddick didn't really care at that moment. He thought, okay, I'm going to die here. So he thought, okay, I'm going to win. But he didn't know that the Predator was going to win as well. But it just so happened that the mercenary army was caught up to him. So you've got that third threat there. And watching the Predator chained up and really the way he looks at him, he's not scowling at them while they're hitting him and he can't do anything back because they're not just normal chains. It's not going to be normal chains where he could break out of. It's going to be, and plus they keep weakening him with the electric rods and everything else. They're just being nasty. They're being so nasty that you want these mercenaries to just get ripped apart. And they do. You would want them ripped apart, but it's like, how would they do it? And in my mind, it's pretty gruesome and satisfying. So there you go. Riddick and Predator get away. No one wins, no one loses. It's the first movie where a Predator doesn't die, which will please a few people. So when would this Yautja come looking for his tech again? Come after him and go, no, I'll let you escape, but I'm coming back for this. I'm coming back for my ship and possibly a round 2. Oh, it's gone cold. Considering sketching some storyboards. I do sketches. I mean, I don't know, I would love someone who knows how to work a storyboard, because I'm normally going to just doing static images. When it comes to drawing, I like to do like character pictures. When they're character pictures posing. So I can do a bit of drawing, but I'd love to know someone who can do storyboards, and then they could just storyboard the whole thing. It'd be wicked if someone could get involved and do a script based on this idea, and then potentially sell it on to the right people for it to get made. I'd love this to get made, but it all depends if this is a type of story that involves Riddick and a Predator. If it's good enough for it to be made into a film. I reckon it's so different. So it's just, I just don't have the patience for it, to be honest. It's all right me typing up and coming up with the ideas, writing the story, and having set pieces, what I want, what I'd like in the film. But when it comes to storyboard and the script writing, I haven't got that skill. It's just not my skill. I can write short stories I write stories as if you're watching on TV. So if you're watching something, I can write it down as if you're watching it. That's how I write stories. So there is the concept for a Riddick and Predator crossover. So I do have another verses. I have a story of another AVP story, but it's not a sequel to the other two. It's a new story, a complete new story set in the future again, and it's just following the Predators and the aliens. So there's no humans. I'd have to get into that next week. I think that'll be the next one. If people want to hear my concepts on an AVP story that involves no humans, it's just you basically following the Predators. They're the ones you can follow. Even though they don't speak English, you can have slight translation. You can have slight translation just to get certain bits over. Because the story that I've got is pretty straightforward with a few little twists and things that have not been seen on screen before. So I've tried to make it different, but tried to keep true to the alien and the Predator, their demeanours. So I think I'll be doing that next week if people want to hear that one. How long have I done? Just over an hour. I don't know if anyone has any questions. If you've got any questions, you can fire away, or you could just send them to me after. But I know that there's people wanting to leave and go to bed. It's getting quite late, 9:30. Mark says, I don't want either of these effers to die now. Just get more mercenaries and extend the kill off by 2 hours. This is why I've kind of made the mercenaries really scummy. Like, you really want these mercenaries to die, but it's not like you just want them to get, a broken neck here and there and shot in the head here and there and stabbed in there. You really want these people ripped apart, especially like the main ones that have been torturing the Predator. It's like you really want these, and the Predator catches up with these select few, and he sees them and he really makes himself out. These are just the ideas I've got in my mind. I haven't got anything written on paper, but when you've got images in the mind that just stick and you really want them to come to life. So I think I'm going to end it here, unless no one's got any questions. I'll wait another few minutes, and then I'm just going to shoot off. And then if people want to talk about this on Twitter, they're more than happy to. But the idea is out there now. It's out there. I hope I've given enough detail for people to think that could work on screen. So it's not just a dumb versus. You know, you got like versus for everything. You know, you got Batman v Superman, which not versus a V. You got Alien versus Predator. You got Freddy versus Jason. You know, I like the idea of the crossover, which I think I got the idea from what was it? You had the Street Fighter X Tekken, and I like that. And I thought, yeah, okay, I'm going to stick with the X. I was going to name it Riddick versus Predator, and then the X come out, and I was like, oh, the X, the crossover, and I just played on like the story of how the crossover would happen. What would be a plausible way to get these paired together instead of just bumping into each other and then just fighting, and then you're thinking who's going to die, and then you know the basic of like, you know, who's going to win. Just a dumb verses. I thought, oh, I need a story. I need a storyline. And I do like the idea of them coming together and just having a kill off. Who's the better killer? Space Jockeys versus Yautja. Well, this is the Prometheus films. Prometheus and Covenant were created because Ridley Scott doesn't like the Predators. He doesn't like the fact that his universe, his alien universe, is connected to the Predator universe. So I think personally, he created the Prometheus story to try and rip apart the Predator and Alien universe and make Alien universe its own thing and keep away from the Predator. That's what I think. I think that's why I don't like them films that much, because he did it out of spite. He made them out of spite. So, and then he ruined the space jockey concept as well, where it's just a suit instead of like an actual alien race of what do they call them? Space adventurers or something like that. So I can't get behind the Prometheus and Covenant storylines. I just can't, because they were made out of spite. Right. Yes, he's on record saying he hates the Versus films. Yeah. He did it just to rip the universes apart, even though in the comics the AVP universe grew. You know, it's got its own its own franchise as well as a Predator franchise and an Alien franchise. But no, he got selfish and just wanted to rip them apart. He didn't need to do it. He could have just done his own storyline. He didn't need to do a story that ripped them apart. What do I think of Predator 2? I like it. I like it a lot. There's no hate there at all. I like the setting from the jungle to the concrete jungle. Could have been a sci-fi of the decade, but long story. Yeah. Predator 2 was great. Yeah. Danny Glover. Yeah. So this is another thing that, you know, Mr. H is going about. I don't think really could take a punch from the Predator. But, you know, you look at Dutch, who took hits, and Danny Glover took some hits. They both survived. They're not exactly in Riddick's league. Riddick would dispel. I think if it came between Riddick and Dutch, Riddick would just be playing with Dutch. He'd be playing with him. He'd play with him and just disperse him. Even though I think Dutch, you know, I'd love for Dutch to come back in a Predator film. got to give it another go then. I just couldn't get into the city setting. They had to do something different. They had to do something different from the jungle, and from going to the jungle to the concrete jungle. They had a good way of keeping up the heat as well. It's like it's a concrete jungle. It's in the season of things being very hot, and drug wars and gangs and everything. It's a predator paradise. So I think I'm going to let everyone go now. So it's been an hour and 10 minutes. I did say an hour and a half, but I think I got through pretty quick. Give enough detail. Hopefully, put this being out there now, people can look back and think this could work. And all he's got to do is reach the right person or people, and they can just expand on it. And then next week I can get onto my my new AVP movie concept. Riddick would give the Yautja a run for its money for sure. Well, it does, because Predator needs its cloak. That's its primary thing to get around without being seen. But Riddick could see him. He'd have no problem seeing him. And I didn't even get into the this hidden power that Riddick has. That he has kind of like an inner energy that he can just disperse. He could probably use that against the Predator and weaken the Predator somewhat. Could be used. I only got to see that on a different region version of Chronicles of Riddick. Never knew it existed, because on the UK version of Chronicles of Riddick, there's a lot cut out. Didn't even know it existed. So yeah, I can't wait for the next Riddick film. And they're making a new Predator film based in like way before modern times. So we'll see how that goes. And again, I hope it succeeds, but I hope it doesn't do anything silly, because this could be the final nail in the coffin for the Predator franchise. So they better not do something silly with it. They need the fans on side. And I think the last film kind of made the fans do a Homer Simpson backing off into the bush. So I think I'm going to leave it here now, guys. So we'll let you go. I want to say thank you for listening to my stream, my concept. I hope I kept you all interested. So hopefully next week, around about the same time, 8:30 again, I will crack on with my AVP movie concept. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you very much. Your view is mine. See you later, guys. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.